Today, my 301st consecutive daily video and the great Grant Cardone's Rule of 47. Get that trash out of your life. You have legacies to build. We grew that business from 3.4 million to 17.1. Horsepower, not horse shit. You want to be the parent that's an ally. They don't need another friend. Not everybody's cup of whiskey. Toughest advice for the toughest businessmen. Be relentless. Grant Cardone, one of the most successful real estate investors and coaches and consultants in America, held a private 2.5-day closed-door mastermind at his world headquarters in Miami last month. You couldn't apply, and it wasn't advertised, and there was nothing, no cost to be there. What he did is hand select what he considered the top 75 coaches, consultants, investors, influencers, creators, entrepreneurs, and you were invited to the 2.5 days in Miami. He paid for all of it: meals, helicopter rides, dinner on a $500 million yacht, in total Grant Cardone style. And I write about 15 of the secrets from this mastermind in my October Michael McLean newsletter. And I mentioned one of them in yesterday's video. If you're not known for your hard work, you won't be known for anything. The importance of being a proud hard worker. The importance of extreme hard work, especially in today's anti-work society. One other topic that I wanted to touch on in videos was what Grant calls, and this is not one of the 15 things that I write about in the newsletter. I write about the 15 things from the mastermind, but this is an extra bonus one that Cardone talked about, and he calls it his Rule of 47. And I really like this one because I've lived by it, especially in the early days of my entrepreneurial career, my coaching career in sport, is if you work 40 hours a week, okay, on average, most people work 40 hours a week. Some people work 60, some people work 80. I used to work 80 when I was building my insurance agency, when I was building my hockey team, when I was building my barber shop. And then you taper these things down to 35 hours. Now I work, I get up at 6 in the morning and I do my walking and my Operation Money Suck, and I sharpen the axe with an hour of reading, and I'm done work every day by 3 p.m.-ish. So it's different for every person, but I don't care what level you're at. You got to own your mornings. You got to conquer the chaos in the afternoon. And evenings are for family. Both feed in today. So Grant talked about this concept of the Rule of 47. And what it means is when you work 40 hours a week, you should be investing 7 hours, an additional 7 hours in personal development. So if you're working 40 hours a week, like most businessmen, then you should be investing no less than 7 hours per week, excuse me, in personal development. Personal development being reading good books, listening to podcasts, studying newsletters, all this kind of stuff. But basically reading, making yourself better, studying marketing, studying business success, reading biographies, autobiographies, success stories, making yourself a better husband, father, entrepreneur. So he said the reason it's the Rule of 47 is it's an hour per day. So a 7-day week, every single day, no days off, which I agree with 100%. Weekends make us weak. There's no stop and start. We live in a stop and start society. Our children are indoctrinated into this stop and start society where, you work for 4 days and then you stop for 3. Well, that's not the way that I'm raising my child. So the Rule of 47, he said, the first hour of your day belongs to you, period. The first hour needs to belong to you. And what you do with that first hour is your number one priority as a badass world builder. That could be going to the gym. That could be reading a book. That could be copywriting. Whatever you decide it is, that's what it is. But it's your number one priority, not mine, not Grant Cardone's, not anybody else's. But the rule of 47, 1 hour, a minimum 1 hour per day. If you're working 40 hours a week, there's no excuses for not being able to block out 1 hour per day, which gets you to that number of 47. So, really you're doing 47 hours per week, and 40 of them are working. Like if you're working for somebody now, or if you're building your own company and you don't have a lot of time, you do have the first hour of every day. There's no excuses. I've lived this concept, this rule of 47. I lived it when I lived in that little bachelor apartment of mine. And I was working for my dad that first year, and I knew I was going to be buying the business in a year, but I did not know, I just didn't have any time because I had to go to work every day. Imagine that. So what I did is the first hour of every day belonged to me. And I would get up, and in my case, I used that hour for a 1 hour power walk. I'd put on 22 pounds working in a cubicle. I wasn't eating right when I first started in the insurance business. I'd never worked in a sedentary environment before. I had always been a sports guy in the gym, with the players. So I went to sitting on my ass, 10 hours a day. So what was my number one priority back in the day? It was to get my ass back in shape, which I did with that 1 hour. So as soon as I'd wake up in my little apartment, I'd have my shoes and my shirt and my shorts, and I would literally walk across town. And it would take me 1 hour. I started eating better. I stopped eating in the restaurants for lunch, and I dropped those 23 pounds in about 60, 70 days. It was gone. And I never put it back on again. So I stopped that before I ended up, like my dad said, being a fat insurance guy. So with that said, that's how I use the rule of 47. Now, you may be in a situation where you say, I got to start learning marketing. I got to learn direct response marketing. I got to learn how to sell things in my business. I need to become a rainmaker. I didn't know anything about marketing. I started studying marketing books. I started studying all of John Carlton's books and all of Gary Halbert's books and Dan Kennedy's books and Jay Abraham's books. And I went from an amateur to a pro, but it took time. And this is something that you maybe could use your first hour of the day for. Maybe you want to use part of the first hour of the day is to reconnect with your creator, for maybe 10 minutes or 5 minutes of prayer. Maybe you need work with meditation or stuff like that. That's not my deal, but it could be. That's how my wife starts her day. She meditates on the end of the dock here. She does yoga. She has a personal trainer. So physical and mental health are number one for her. It's different for everybody, including you. But the rule of 47, the first hour of every day belongs to you. And I'll tell you from battle-scarred experience, this is not going to work if you sleep with your phone in your room. That's the behavior of the poor. If you have a television or a laptop or any screen in your bedroom, that you're a pretender. You're a pretender. You're not serious about quality sleep. You're not serious about winning, and that's the behavior of the poor. Okay, I've never had any technology in my bedroom, no matter all the places we lived. It's, our bedroom is for sleeping. And it's interesting because then when you wake up and your cell phone is locked away downstairs, locked away, then you can own the first hour of your day. If you want to do some training physically and mentally, you lay your stuff out on the chair beside your bed, your t-shirt, your hat, your shorts, and you go for a half-hour walk. And your water, you have a couple of glasses of water downstairs, so when you walk downstairs, you can't miss it. Boom, drink a couple of glasses of water. No coffee, no any of this other stuff. And you go for walk for 20 minutes out, walk for 20 minutes back. You don't have to start at an hour like I do. Start at 15 minutes and then get up to 20. But the first hour of the day belongs to you. So you can do things for physical and mental. Maybe you want to, you need to read to motivate and inspire yourself. Well, that's fine. Put out your book the night before on your chair. Maybe it's outside at the dock, by the river, in your vehicle. Go somewhere. No cell phone with you, and just highlighter and pens and those recipe cards, and just read 10 pages every morning. 10 pages. That's how I started. It changed my life. I said, okay, every day, 7 days a week, I'm going to read 10 pages. That was 70 pages a week, and I'm a slow reader. 10 pages a morning. So the first hour of the day belongs to you. And maybe you want to do something else. Maybe you're into copywriting. Maybe you want to write copy that brings you money. You want to write letters and copy sales letters, and you want to design websites, or you want to do things that bring you money. Well, you could use that hour for copywriting. And then once you advance, you can, like I do, I have those 3 things involved in every day. But when I first started, I didn't. And when I first started, all I did was walk for an hour. That's it. Because I was a slave. I was working for the man. That man just happened to be my father. But because I wasn't free, because I didn't have any independence, I made the best of a situation. And at lunchtime, I remember I used to go to the park and eat my sandwich, and I would read actually 5 or 10 pages then. So I started to introduce the second activity I needed. So I walked every morning for an hour, and then at lunchtime, I'd go and sit down by the lake or the river and eat my lunch, and I'd take my book with me and I'd read 5 pages. And then as I became the CEO and boss, all of a sudden then Operation Money Suck became the biggest part of my life. I started writing for an hour a day, then 2 hours a day, and then sometimes 3 hours a day. So start small, but the first hour of the day belongs to you. You might want to do multiple things in that first hour. You might want to pray. You might want to go for a walk outside. Outside is key. You got to be in the sunshine. You got to be in the cold. You got to be in the heat. You got to be in the rain. You got to be out in nature. That's so good for your immune system. And then maybe you can sit down and read 5 pages. Have the book ready when you get back. But it's all about controlling your environment. Or maybe you want to sit down and write 20 minutes of copy, maybe an email a day to your list. Maybe, you write an article, half an article every day. So you decide how you chop up that hour. Do 1 thing, do 2 things, whatever it is, but it belongs to you. If you don't have that structure in your life, a couple of tips. Get your ass up earlier, before the kids, before your best friend Queen. Get up an hour. Go to bed an hour earlier. Just change your clock. That's all you're doing. Go to bed at 10 instead of 11 and get up at 6. Or go to bed at 9 and get up at 5. It's really that simple. Badass kings live in the morning. The earlier you can get up, the better, but you can't sacrifice sleep. You got to go to bed earlier. So shut that fucking TV off and shut that laptop off and that phone off and get your ass to bed. 10 o'clock at the latest. And then you can get up at 6 or you can get up at 5 and you've got your 8 hours. Rest is a weapon. Sleep is a weapon. You got to have it. And then the first hour belongs to you. So you have that quiet, that solitude in your home. If you don't have it, get in your truck and go somewhere. My neighbor here for the last 20 years gets in his truck and drives and then walks somewhere. He doesn't like to walk out here, likes to walk in town. So he gets in his truck and drives. You want to read your book or whatever it is, and you don't have peace and quiet, get in your vehicle and drive somewhere where there's peace and quiet. There's no excuses. And control your environment. Environment is for champions. Willpower is for chumps. If you've got your cell phone with you when you're walking, and you've got your cell phone with you when you're writing copy, or you got your cell phone beside you when you're reading, just admit you're a pretender. Just admit you don't have any discipline. Just admit that this is the behavior that broke, and you're never ever going to be able to achieve. If you can't give, if you can't invest the first hour of your day to your family, to your wife, your kids' future, to your business future, then I can't help you. I can't help you. If you've got to get up like 99% and check a phone for somebody else's agenda, to jump, to be needy like a little child, then I can't help you. I don't care who's texting me. I don't care who's emailing me. I go days without checking any of that stuff because I'm the king of my domain. There's no text. There's no email. There's none of that shit that I have to worry about because I'm 0% needy. Well, Michael, it could cost you a piece of business. I don't care. Could cost you a newsletter subscriber. I don't care. Could cost you a mastermind member. I don't care. I do business and live life on my own terms. And the first hour of the day belongs to me. Now, in my case, through 20 years of work and learning and growing and losing and winning, now the first 5 hours of my day belong to me. But it all started with the first hour. So that's Grant Cardone's amazing rule of 47. Every single day, invest an hour in your own personal self-development and improvement. So that's it. Remember, if you're interested in having me, I love doing podcasts actually. If you're interested in having me on a podcast, just email my executive assistant, Leanne Brennan, our badass bitch in charge, at leanne@badassmillionaire.com. And we'll schedule a podcast. I've done quite a few now for different members and people that follow me. But if you would like me to do a podcast, the topic is all the same. How to not get your ass kicked in business and in life. It's my world building interview. If you're interested in having me on your podcast, email leanne@badassmillionaire.com and she'll put something together. My new book, nobullbook.com, and my newsletter, badassletter.com. That's it. Make sure that you hug your wife and children and tell them how much they mean to you. Nothing is more important. When the king does not rise, the kingdom dies. And I'm talking to the king right now. When the king does not rise, the the kingdom dies. And we live in the greatest time in history, 2022. We are awash in opportunity, abundance, wealth like never before. And we need to be sharing that story with ourselves, with our wives, with our children, and with our grandchildren. We are blessed beyond belief to live in the greatest country, to live in the greatest time in history, regardless of what's going on. None of this is new. But we live in the wealthiest, most abundant, most opportunistic world we've ever experienced. Make sure you're taking advantage of it and make sure you're spreading that good news message. 2 words that changed my life, 2 words that'll definitely change yours. Be relentless.